When you hear lung cancer, what's the first image that pops into your head? For decades, the story's been pretty simple, right? It was a cautionary tale about smoking. But in India, a completely different and frankly, a much scarier story is unfolding. One that's not driven by a pack of cigarettes, but by the very air that we're all breathing. This is a story that affects every single one of us. So let's get into what's really going on. We've all been taught to believe that lung cancer is a smoker's disease. It's this belief that's been drilled into us for generations. And hey, for a long time, that was basically true. But what happens when the facts on the ground start to tell a completely different story? I mean, really think about that. What if the biggest risk factor for lung cancer in India today isn't about a personal choice anymore, but about our shared environment? That single question is right at the heart of a public health crisis that is just silently exploding across the country. Okay, here it is. This is the one statistic that just changes everything. Right now, today, for every 10 people with lung cancer in India, 5 of them are non-smokers. That's half, 50%. Just let that sink in for a second. The old idea of who gets this disease, it's been completely shattered, and it's forcing doctors to look for a whole new culprit. And listen, this isn't just some statistical fluke. This is a trend that doctors are seeing with their own eyes every single day. As Dr. Arun Kumar Goyal puts it, we're stuck on this misconception. And failing to see this massive shift means diagnoses get delayed for a huge chunk of the population that just doesn't fit the old stereotype. So yeah, this isn't just a weird blip in the data. This is India's new reality. We're talking about a hidden epidemic, and the profile of the person getting sick has changed in ways that are, well, they're truly startling. Now check this out, because this is where it gets really eye-opening. If we look specifically at Indian women who are diagnosed with lung cancer, a staggering 83% of them are non-smokers. 83%. This just completely flips the old narrative on its head and points a giant flashing arrow toward environmental causes. And get this, it's not just who is getting sick, it's when. The disease is hitting people in India a full decade earlier than folks in Western countries. This isn't some disease of old age anymore. It's cutting people down right in the prime of their lives. So let's just sum it all up. The new face of lung cancer in India, it's younger. It's much more likely to be a woman. And most importantly, it's overwhelmingly a non-smoker. We're literally seeing men and women in their 30s and 40s showing up with a disease they never, ever thought they were at risk for. So if it's not tobacco for half the patients, then what is it? All the evidence, all the data, it points to one thing: an invisible killer that surrounds millions of us every single day. The primary culprit is the very air we breathe. And look, this isn't a guess. This isn't a theory. This is official. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC, they classify the air pollution around us as a Group 1 human carcinogen. That is the highest, most dangerous category there is. It's right up there with things we know cause cancer, like asbestos and tobacco smoke. And this chart, wow, it tells the story perfectly. On one hand, we've made huge progress. Deaths from household pollution, from things like old cook stoves, have dropped a ton. But at the exact same time, deaths from the pollution outside, that tiny, nasty PM 2.5 stuff that gets deep in your lungs, have more than doubled. The threat literally moved from inside our homes to the air all around us. So where's all this pollution coming from? Well, it's just the reality of everyday life for so many. It's the emissions from industry and all the cars on the road. It's the dust from constant construction. And it's even things happening indoors, like burning biomass fuels without good ventilation, or even just regularly burning incense and mosquito coils. Now, here's a really crucial point. When you change the cause of the cancer, you actually change the cancer itself. This pollution-driven cancer, it behaves differently, and that creates a whole new, really dangerous challenge for doctors. And here's the proof. Among non-smokers, look at this, over 92% of cases are a specific type called adenocarcinoma. Now, the cancers you see in smokers tend to be in the big central airways, but this type, it grows in the outer parts of the lungs, exactly where those tiny pollution particles end. All of this creates a huge, huge problem for diagnosis. You have people who don't think they're at risk, and a disease that's acting differently, which leads to the most critical question of all. Why are so many of these cases only being found when they're already at an advanced, often incurable stage? And here is the absolutely heartbreaking answer. The main symptoms of this new lung cancer, that nagging cough, losing weight, feeling out of breath, they are almost identical to the symptoms of tuberculosis, which is, of course, a way more common disease in India. This leads to tragic, tragic misdiagnoses. And we can actually put a number on the cost of that confusion. On average, there is a delay of 3.2 months in diagnosing lung cancer in people who were first treated for TB by mistake. In the world of cancer, a 3-month delay, that can be the difference between life and death. Okay, so understanding the problem is step one. But what do we do about it? What's the path forward? Well, it's got to be two things at once. We need to empower ourselves with awareness, and we have to demand big, systemic action from the top. So for you, for me, for all of us, the message is really clear. A cough that just won't go away after a few weeks is a serious warning sign. You have to get it checked out. Don't just ignore it. And of course, we can do things to protect ourselves, like wearing a good mask on polluted days and trying to improve the air quality inside our own homes. But look, let's be real. We can only do so much on our own. This system has to change. That means our screening guidelines, which are still mostly based on whether you smoke, have to be updated to include this huge environmental risk. It means getting serious about emission standards, investing in clean energy, and making air quality a core part of how we fight cancer. And that really brings us to the bottom line. The one thing to take away from all this. This isn't just an environmental problem or a health problem. They are one and the same. The fight for clean air is cancer prevention. Every single day we delay taking real action on air pollution has a very real and very human cost.